You live.
Said you live, Lisa.
Okay. I'm Lisa Lee, former federal investigator.
All right, how y'all doing? I'm 3MP2, YouTuber.
I'm D, aka Denahi. Federal, I was a state employee. Now I'm a federal employee. Can't really say who I work for, but I'm a federal employee.
Right.
How Larry going to invite somebody on here?
Not even on here, right?
He's coming.
I love that. That's my boy, though.
Yeah, that's my man.
Boy, Larry, I have you in stitches,
He a
man.
hilarious dude, man. He is something
Oh
else.
my God, he is, man. You got a good heart.
Yeah. But it's so
Heart.
much going on in the world, man. I see why he do what he do, man. He want to get the first,
Right.
punch at trying to, resolve the issue. So I gotta respect a
Yeah.
man like that.
I stumbled across Larry last year. The
Okay.
protest out at the Vince Crab House in Middle River. And I was watching. Like I didn't hear anything about it. It just came across Facebook, and I just was watching. I'm like, wow. And I said, you know what? I gotta be a part of that.
Right.
And so, I went out there and I met him, and we've been boys ever since. I met a lot of great people from out there, a lot of good friendships.
Yeah, I met him downtown, man. He was asking about YouTube, and I just so happened to have an answers for him, and we just
Right.
clicked ever since.
Who's the other young man? Davis? Introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Davis from out of South Carolina.
Okay.
South Carolina. Wow.
Yeah, and I actually spoke with Larry earlier today in regards to the shooting of the black girl, and I told Larry, I said that I thought that the officer still need to be charged. He needs to be charged because you see these officers go to school. They go to the police academy, and they have to have so many hours in, somewhere around about 680 hours in order for them to be certified as a police officer. So now there's no doubt that when the officer arrived on the scene, he had the expertise with the taser, and he had the expertise with that pistol. Otherwise, he would have never certified to become a police officer, meaning that he also has the expertise and the skill of knowing where to point that pistol or the taser. So he didn't necessarily have to kill the girl. I mean, he could have maimed the girl. He could have shot the girl in the arm. He could have shot the girl in the leg. He should have. There are many other places that he could have shot.
But you don't think that it was a spirit of the moment thing? He did run down on. Yeah, but you don't think it was like a spirit of moment thing though? It was within a 2-second radius of him getting from his vehicle to the person that she was allegedly going at. Well, no, I can't say allegedly. She was actually going at someone with a knife. So he had within 2 seconds to make that quick decision. Now, we all can say what we would have done in that situation, but I honestly, my opinion, I think he should have pulled the taser. My honest opinion, I think he should have pulled the taser, honestly, but I think he was just thinking quick, to save a life. So
Okay. Okay, so I'm here, folks. I'm host Larry Wallace in the building. I hit the wrong button, so y'all just had to excuse me, I'm late. But we're going to introduce everybody and tell everybody their expertise. That way, we can be familiar with who we have on the panel. So we can start because we have some people connected with the people in the blue. So let's start from Davis down the bottom. Davis, can you let us know what's your expertise? You hear me, Davis?
I can't hear you. I can barely hear your transmission.
Okay, what's your expertise in this? Because we're going to be talking about, the police shooting and what could have happened and what could avoid. Give us a little background on you so that way we can know, okay, this guy might know something or whatever. You want to share some of your background?
Well, I am the founder of a search and rescue agency in South Carolina, meaning that we do search and rescue for children that come up missing, search and rescue for anyone that come up missing. And of course, I have a lot of law enforcement in my family, first cousins, second cousins, stuff like that, and so I know the training that these officers have to go through. And I know for a fact that they go through some hundreds of hours, 680 in South Carolina. They have to go through 680 hours of training in order to be certified. You're not putting 680 hours in for nothing, because there is someone that has to sign off on your certification in order for you to become a police officer. So we know that the officer is trained to handle that weapon or that taser, and he also is trained to know how to make adjustments with that pistol or that taser. He could have made adjustments and he could have shot the girl. I mean, our officers normally what they would do is try to go for the biggest part of the body, but they are skilled to know how to aim that pistol if they want to just shoot you in the arm or in the shoulder. So it did not have to be a deadly kill. So in my opinion, I think that he belongs in jail at the very least for manslaughter.
All right. So we're gonna come back to you. We're gonna go up to Brother D. Brother D, give us some background on you if you choose to do so.
Former state employee.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Former state employee, current federal employee. Like I was telling everybody before you came on, how you and I met. I support the blue and also support my people. In regards to the situation with the young lady, as I was saying earlier, the threat there was threat of life at stake, right? When he arrived on the scene, before he arrived on the scene, the young lady called 911, advised what was going on. Why she left out of the house, I don't know. To the day, no one knows why she left out of the house, but she left out of the house, right? When officer got there, there was threat of life. It was imminent threat of life. So, do I say should he use it? Could he have used the taser? Yeah, he could have, but he went with what would neutralize the threat. Now, had he, I don't know if anyone's ever been electrocuted before. I have. Your body locks up when a certain amount of current hits your body. Your body locks up. So you're not dry. If something is in your hand and you're grasping it, it's not going to drop. It's going to stay in your hand. So, and where she was in close proximity to the other girl, she could have very well, she could have hit her with the taser. She could have very well hit that girl with a fatal blow with that knife and could have, ended her life. It's a sad situation all the way around, Do I think the officer wanted to shoot her? No, I don't think he wanted to shoot, but
so we're gonna come back to you. We just try to bring everybody and give a little bit idea of everybody. So we're gonna come back around to everybody. We're gonna go to Lisa Lease. Can you give us some background, if you choose to do so?
Sure. I'm a former federal investigator investigating national security for clearances, top secret clearances, things like that. I'm a legal specialist for the federal government, so I specialize in policies and procedures. I have a master's degree in psychology and a bachelor's degree in criminal justice.
Thank you. And also we have 3MP2. Can you give us a background on you, sir? Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you. My real name is Nate Butler, but I go by 3MP2, which is my YouTube channel. And my background on it is pretty much I pursue the the enjoyment of life of blacks. So I'm a local union worker for the local 570 Teamsters.
Thank you. So I'm Larry, Taxi Talk Radio, Uncut News. You know, I go do state to state, do United States to, you know, do some news that other news people might not even want to get into. It was an honor to be on Donnie Glover's show. I appreciate him for me hosting it tonight from 7 to 8. So I give kudos up to Be More News and appreciate you, Donnie, the producer behind the scene. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about, you know, the right way, the wrong way. Should a police do they come in to attempt to kill, or can they perform an act without killing, or should they use taser? In a case like what happened with the young lady, we're going to start from the young lady first that had the knife when the police came on the scene. We're also going to talk about Minnesota, about the taser in the police hand, or the gun should have been in her hand, what should have been. We're also going to talk about this in a situation. So we're going to start with Lisa first, and then we're going to start from the left to Nate, then to the right, and then we're going to go down to Davis. Davis, can you stay with us? How long you have to before you get on the road?
I can stay. I can stay with you know, for about a half hour.
Okay, great. So let's go to Lisa. Lisa, can you give us an expertise on what would happen in a case like when a girl about the knife situation? Are you aware of what happened?
I am. The young lady had the knife and she was lunging at the other lady that was leaned up against the car in this motion. And so she was using deadly force when the officer arrived. He arrived at the very moment when she was about to lunge forward. So that was deadly force. So he had to inflict deadly force to stop her because she posed a threat to the community, which was a young lady that she was trying to stab with the deadly weapon. So correct. Using a taser is not equal to a knife. So deadly force for deadly force. Unfortunately, you don't get out and ask, well, how old is that girl that's about to stab somebody? You don't ask who called the police first. You arrived at the scene in the midst of the chaos. You have to react and respond as an officer. And unfortunately, it was a 16-year-old girl that was doing grown folk things, and she had to be held accountable. And unfortunately, it meant that the officer had to shoot her to stop her. Because
Davis don't agree with what you're saying.
That's fine.
Now, Davis, I know I was going to go to you next, 3MP2, but let's hear from Davis because he got something different to say about what Lisa had. Davis,
all right, you guys can call me Nate, just in case you can't get 3 and 2.
Okay, Nate. All right, Davis, you want a rebuttal on Lisa?
Yes.
Question?
Yes. Even if I listened to where the girl had the knife in a ready position with the intent to come down into the other girl's body, or however which way. But the arm was in the air. And even if we rule out the taser, perhaps could have been less of a force to be able to disarm her at that time. But again, the officer is still trained to use that weapon on any part of your body. He is trained to use also to shoot in the shoulder. He's trained also to shoot in the leg, you know, or whatever. You know, I mean, if the girl had her, an officer can shoot a bird off of a clothes hanger. They can shoot a bird off of a clothes hanger. They are trained to do so. They are very much trained to do so. So it didn't have to be a deadly kill. It could have been
That's how they're trained.
Huh?
Body mass. When they have that silhouette and they're going
Right.
and they're training, it's body mass. It's
Right.
3 shots.
Absolutely
Boom,
right.
boom, boom.
Right, absolutely right. And that's why we're having this argument today, because there has to be some evaluation on that body mass. You see, because when they're dealing with black people, that's all they see. But they don't see that when they're dealing with white people.
Well,
They don't
because
see
the
that
body
when they're
mass,
dealing with Chinese people. They don't see that when they're doing that with any type of Asian people except black people. So the question then would be, why are they utilizing the body mass for black people, but not for no other race?
I want y'all to think about it. Now, the silhouette that they're trained on is black, right?
Oh yeah.
Think about it. That's real deep. It's black.
Larry, I'm finished.
Not only that.
Larry, I'm complete.
They actually use
You what?
targets,
Larry,
black targets.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
the question.
Well, let me rephrase that.
Why are they?
Not targets.
Again, my question is, if anyone still may be able to respond, why are they centralizing on the body mass for black people, but not body mass for whites or anybody else?
Okay, I believe Lisa has got a question for answer for that. Lisa, you have an answer? Why is it like that for black people?
Well,
or the body mass?
The sad part about it, Davis, is that the silhouette that's used to trained officers is black. So, and I'm not saying that justifies what's going on, but it puts them in a mindset. It puts them in a mindset when they're training and they're learning how to shoot.
Yeah, society has painted black people out to be this violent monster. Let's just put that up there, number one. You know, from day one, we were a threat because of our skin color. That's number one. Number two, society, movies, whatever you have, or whatever media outlet you have, has painted the black man out to be this aggressor. And by nature, we are not aggressive at all. We're not an aggressive people. But greed has set in, and it's all about wanting what the next man has. Now, deadly force was met, like you said, Ms. Lisa. Deadly force was met with deadly force. You know, life was at stake when he arrived. That girl, had he hit her with a taser, like I said, the body could have locked up. She could have came down and killed that girl, struck her in the head, struck her in the throat, struck her in the face, wherever have you. And then it would have been, well, why didn't he shoot her? Right? So it's a whole thing of, damned if they do, damned if they don't. Do I think he wanted to shoot to kill that girl? No. I don't think he wanted to. But imminent threat was there. She was a danger to the community, like you said. And unfortunately, she had to be, lack of better term, she had to be taken out. Now, here's the question. Here's the kicker. Her parents were there. Why would they let her go back outside?
With a weapon.
I'm not justifying anything. Remember, she was a foster care child. Right. So a lot of times you have some behavioral problems, and I'm not saying that she did, because they said she was a straight A student. Right. But I don't know what the relationship was between her and the foster parents. Right. I don't know if they, could control her when she was in raged about the situation. But you have to take it from the point that the officer engaged her. Leading up to that is irrelevant.
Right. I mean,
okay.
You arrive.
Nate, go ahead, Nate.
No, I'm gonna let D finish what he's saying.
Yeah, you arrive to a situation that's hot. You really don't have time to think. It's like it's boom. It's like you gotta do what you got. You gotta neutralize it. So it's like that split second he could have thought that girl could have killed the other little girl. So I mean, like I said, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. Defunding the police, that's a whole different topic.
Go ahead, Nate.
Well, me personally, I'm two sides to that coin. First thing I want to say is I don't think that the cop was in the wrong. I can't honestly say that. I cannot say he was in the wrong. I think that he did what he had to do to save a life.
Right.
Sometimes it come down to that, taking a life to save a life. If he'd have thought in a different manner of pulling the taser out, just like D said, it could have been a instance where he hit her with that taser and she still punctured that girl with that knife. Then, if he'd have took the action of shooting her in one of her Allahs, which is her arm, leg, arm, if he'd have hit her in one of those points, then who knows what could have came after that. So I think he did exactly what he had to do.
And what he
It was a
trying
little excessive. It was a little excessive with 4 shots.
right.
I feel like he saved a life. Let's be honest. We coming from a place, every one of us mentally, we're coming from a place where we constantly seeing black death by the hands of police. So of course, some of us gonna be opinionated on one side, some gonna be on the other. For me, I'm a guy that's right in the middle. I feel
I'm
like
in the middle as well.
yeah. So I feel like the cop had to react within a 2 seconds. 2 seconds. And he had to just do what he had to do.
So Davis, do you think he killed the life to save a life? Davis. You hear me, Davis? All right, Davis.
I don't know if he can hear you, but he can see you, but I don't think he can hear you. I mean, I totally agree.
He talking to you, Davis.
Do you think Davis? See,
Yeah.
Davis want to know. Did he take a life to save a life? In your opinion, the officer. Did the officer take a life to save a life, Davis?
Well, he took a life to save a life, but he could have saved 2 lives. Because even though we've taken out the equation of the taser, and that's fine. But we're talking about a trained officer. We're not talking about just someone on the street that don't have any type of law enforcement skills. We're talking about someone who is certified with a weapon in his hand. So we're talking about the word certified. This officer means that he is well trained to know how to shoot to any part of the body. He knows every aspect of the body that is deadly, that would be a fatal wound or shot, and he knows a shot that is not a fatal wound. He should be held accountable.
Soldiers
He should be held accountable.
Bro, I understand, but soldiers are military. They're trained to shoot. They're certified as well.
Yeah, but we're talking about military soldiers.
Go ahead.
Military soldiers are in a war zone. Military soldiers are in a war zone. We're not talking about a war zone in this equation. We're talking about in a community. A community.
We're talking about being certified. Regardless if they're in the military or police in the community, they're still certified. And they're also certified in first aid. But what I'm saying is,
right,
if the situation was reversed, right? We all know that there had been a black officer that responded to that, to the same incident with the white girl. Do you think the black officer would have used the taser, or would he went with what he know to do?
We're not changing the scenario. We sticking to the scenario.
Right.
The scenario is the black girl being shot.
I don't. But I'm gonna go with yes. It would have went the same way.
I say he met.
Reception is very poor on my end.
Shooting her 4 times. Yeah, that was a bit excessive. That was overkill.
Yeah, that was
overkill.
Yeah.
I don't understand shooting 4 times. Like, what was he trying to do? Was he trying to make sure he hit her? I think after the first shot, he knew that he hit her. Right. But 4 shots, yeah, that's a bit much. That was overkill.
Right.
Okay. So my condolence goes out to the family. My condolence goes out to the family. Now
we heard Lisa from the beginning.
What, Lisa? What you say?
Remember what Lisa said.
What she said?
I say we got to remember what Lisa said from the beginning. Lisa is correct. When they come on the scene, they're looking at that big area of your body, and they are focusing on that big area of your body from the time that they arrive on the scene. So the only thing they're thinking about is that target, which is the biggest part of the target. So then, therefore, if that target is being used like that towards black people, then it needs to be reevaluated. It needs to be evaluated because they're only using that big target of the person's body toward black people and not toward any other race.
But let me ask you a question. Had he shot the girl through the shoulder, God forbid that bullet would have went through the shoulder and would have hit the other girl, then what? Then not only
So you said if the officer would have shot the shoulder and would have hit the other girl?
I'm having poor reception on this end.
What I'm saying, okay, so what I'm saying is, had he shot the girl in the shoulder, the bullet traveled through her shoulder, exited out the front of her shoulder, and hit the girl that was on the car, striking her in the head, then it would have been a thing. Well, that you weren't trained to do that. You know, you took a life. So they're not trained to, wound. They're trained to neutralize a threat.
Neutralize the threat. That's
right.
exactly
Okay.
Neutralize a threat.
Yes. Right.
So
but the threat don't have to always be.
When you neutralize a threat, you don't neutralize
but you can neutralize a threat. But you can neutralize a threat without causing fatality or the neutralization. There are many other parts.
But like Evan said, they're not trained to shoot in the arms or the legs. That's where your main arteries are. Although the heart is center mass, they're trained center mass.
And let alone, they can shoot you in those parts.
Then that needs to be evaluated.
Well, but
then that needs to be evaluated.
But right now, that's the policies and the procedures of law enforcement. Center mass, that's how they
absolutely right. Right. And that's why we're having this discussion right now, because that needs to be evaluated. Because the only part of the body mass is coming toward is toward black folks.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go down and ask each person we're going to switch over to we're going to switch over to the car incident about the police, the taser, and the gun. But we're gonna go on this question. This question, y'all can we're gonna go down the list and say what we have to say about the knife and the officer shooting the girl, and then we're gonna switch it to the due to time. That's the only reason we're gonna switch it to the taser and the gun with the officer shot the guy in Minnesota. So we're gonna wrap it up with the case about the knife. So who want to start first? The end the part with the knife and the taser. I mean the knife. When the police shot the girl. Who want to start before we go to the next situation?
All right. So I just want to say about the knife. We all agree that the young lady, 16 years old or not, she was a threat to someone else's life. She was a threat to someone else's life. So this is not an argument. This is a discussion. And far as us speaking on it, we all know that the young girl was a threat. The officer did what he had to do to neutralize that threat. Right. So we can stop blaming it on being black, because sometimes it's just not about being black anymore. Sometimes it's about aggressiveness, being aggressive. She was coming at another person, about to take a life or injure a life. You understand what I'm saying? The cop only had a small window to react.
Okay.
So we gotta give him his flower, man.
All right, thank you. Let's go. Thank you, Nate. Let's go with Lisa.
The bottom line is she posed a threat to the community with deadly force. She was met with deadly force. Officers go through a 6-month training in the academy, and they're trained center mass, the biggest part of your body, so that you can make sure you hit the target. Unfortunately, it was an overkill with the 4 bullets.
So, yes, exactly.
Okay.
And she's no longer with us. The young lady that was about to be stabbed is not stabbed. So that's where I'm at.
All right, Dave.
I agree. He met deadly force with deadly force. We all agree that 4 shots was overkill. I just hope that the young people out there that witness that learn from it.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. I just hope that they learn from it. And if not, I don't know what else. I mean, condolences go out to everybody that was out there, because not only was the life taken, that's shock.
Yeah.
That's
Traumatized.
right there.
That's trauma.
Right.
Yeah, so
Mr. Davis.
they're reliving that.
Oh, you finished, Dave? You finished? Okay. Davis.
Well, I have to rebut in terms of what Nate said, that we have to take the black out of it. There's no way, Nate, that we can take the black out of it, because we're living it every day. We're living it every day. It is against us.
I was meaning in
we know that we live it every day, Davis, but in this scenario,
right.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, just this one.
Okay.
Like, if we look at the situation, it wasn't about being black. This was about a life threat.
All right.
And he had to neutralize that threat.
Due to time.
I don't think that he would have used the same method going toward white. I don't think he would have used the same method if it was white.
Okay, so
Davis, that's what I'm saying.
Goes out. I'm sorry this happened.
We gotta look at this situation as realistic, man. Realistically,
due to time, we'll pick up again and carry the situation as far as the night.
Yes,
like I said,
you're right.
We just want people
realistically,
if a cop come on the scene, if police come on the scene, if young people listening to me, whoever listen to the officer, if you got a weapon, drop the weapon.
Drop the weapon.
That's right.
Absolutely. Or don't carry one at all.
So let's go. Let's talk about the incident that happened. We're going to start with the lady, Lisa. In Minnesota, the officer stopped the car. I don't know why they stopped the car. Maybe an air freshener was on the mirror or whatever. The officer. What happened in this case, Lisa?
I personally think that folks were sitting around at the lunch table talking about, we gonna pull out our gun and holler taser, and then say, oh, it was a mistake. I thought I was pulling out my taser. That's what I feel that happened. I don't feel like she didn't know that she didn't have her taser. And moreover, the 3 officers that were there, nobody ever said to her, no, that's your gun. They all saw her because she had to wait for them to move out the way to fire, whether it was a taser or a gun. So one officer was in the way, but the other 2 were looking on. You holler, your training says you have to announce taser. That's so they can get out the way. Well, one was in the way, the other 2 were onlookers. So how does that play out? I think that was something that they talked about prior to going out on the street. We're going to say, we're going to shoot them and then say taser, and make it seem like it's a mistake, and we're going to walk.
Yeah. Right.
So that what happened? You saying that the officer had a gun and she was saying taser?
They trained to say taser, so the officers can get out the way of being tased.
Right.
That's not the training when you pull out your gun.
Okay.
You pull out your gun, you say, freeze, put your hands up. It's different things you say when you're pulling out the different weapons. So I think that they was around the water cooler talking about, we want to say taser when we pull out our gun and shoot a nigga. And then we can say, oh, it was an accident. I thought it was my taser, and get away with it.
All right, let's go with D, the man in the blue. What's your take on it? You in the blue you represent blue and the people, so you're on both sides.
All right, so this is what I say. 26 years as a police officer, and you're a field training officer. Right hand dominant, your gun is on your right side. Left hand, you're not non-dominant hands where your taser is. There's no way in the world, there's no way on God's green earth that you don't know that your taser is on your left side. You're a trained police. You're out there training police officers not to do what you just did. So I have to agree with Lisa. Somebody was somewhere around the water cooler saying, you know what? Yeah, it's nowhere in the world that you can sit here and tell me, number one, you got your gun extended, your gun is black, your taser is yellow. You hold your hand out in front of you, you can still see what's in front of you. So the minute you realize you had your gun in your hand, the same way you say, "Oh shit, I shot him," you could put the gun back and put your gun back in the holster and grab the taser. But you yell taser, taser. Somebody said, "No, it's not your taser."
Wow.
Somebody
Okay.
We gotta
should have yelled out and said, "No, that's not taser."
and we gotta
Right.
look at this
Now that was
over.
a situation. Now that was a situation where there was time to react. It was a situation where you had other officers involved, where you could have took your time to react. You didn't take
All right.
time.
Great.
And the
So
traffic stop.
traffic stop. So we just got joined us, Jason Rodriguez. Nate, we're going to hear from Jason because I don't know if Jason got to go back into the radio station or not. So Jason, can you want to talk about the knife, or you want to talk about the lady had the taser, but had the gun? Where do you want to start from? Because I don't want to take you off the air. Go ahead with it.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good evening. I just had a comment about the knife situation. I know that it seems to be a hit debate. I've seen posts on Twitter, social media. I've even heard it over the airwaves on talk radio stations, whether conservative or urban talk. I've heard the debate in reference to this argument. I think the lesson that needs to be learned here is parents, get a hold of your children. There has to be some sort of self-accountability in these matters, especially when you're dealing with children and children that are acting out violently. I think as a parent, I would have rather put myself in harm's way with my child in that knife than to have that officer have to deal with my child and that knife. So I think in some cases the lesson to be learned here is parents, get a hold of your children. Don't allow them, to be out there and be confronted by law enforcement. Because from what I understand, the girl with the knife, their family was the one that called the police, from what I understand. But anytime you call the police to a situation like that, you're kind of giving them qualified immunity to come out and address a situation that may end up with lethal force or excessive force. So you're kind of giving them permission to come out to deal with your children when you should be dealing with your children as a parent.
So
That's
Jason,
just my 2 cents.
so what you think? Should the person got shot and killed, or should she got a taser?
I think unfortunately officers not trained in that capacity when they threat like that. That's why there was 4 shots shot off. Because they're taught to incapacitate. They're taught to eliminate the threat. They're taught to drop that person. And they know that 1 bullet, 2 bullets is not going to do it. So they're taught to let off 4 to 5 quick shots, dead center mass, because they know that that has the greatest potential of eliminating the threat. So I think the officer was justified in what he did. It's unfortunate he had to take a life to save a life.
All right, thank you. So,
I think we
David,
need to start
you want
whipping
to
our
talk
kids'
about
ass.
the
That's what we need to do.
officer with the gun and it's supposed to have been a taser when she shot the boy? Davis, you know about what happened in Minnesota about the taser mistaking it being a gun or vice versa?
Well, I agree with the brother. I don't know what his name is that's on the show here, and I agree with the brother Jason. I mean, I agree with everyone in this matter. And it go. I mean, somehow or another, parents got to be start being accountable to be able to, like you say, start whipping these children's ass. You know, I mean, I got it with the switch. I got it with the drop card. You know what I mean? I got it with the shoe. In fact, I had to go out on the chainberry tree and pull the switch off and trim the leaves off it.
Well, you
And it
can't
sure
do that
did
no
work for
more.
me.
We can't beat the kids no more.
Hey, my grandma used to.
And that's the
My grandma
problem.
used to get
That's
three
the
of them.
problem.
She used to get 3 of them and braid them.
You can't
Sit
beat
in
the
water.
kids no more. So
And
that
that's the
ain't gonna
problem.
work.
Oh,
We're allowing someone else to parent our children. That's the problem.
yes, sir.
That's the problem.
Well,
Yes.
you know we can't beat them no more. So we got to talk about reality now.
Wow.
Yeah. So at this point,
Wow.
I want to say I could
Wow.
take this back.
Well,
I could take this back to Davis's point.
it goes back to reality now.
Go ahead, Davis. Go ahead.
It goes back to the reality now that it takes a village to raise a family. So that's what we have to. That's what we're pretty much have to go back to.
But we lost the villages now,
That
man.
village. You know.
Because if you did something wrong, by the time you got home, not only did you get it from the person who saw you did it, but when you got home, your parents knew about it. You got it again.
Yes.
Boy, I remember
Yes.
that.
Exactly.
But Davis, okay, we beat the kids. What about the police supposed to had a taser and had the gun?
I think that it's just like you all have stated. She knew the difference between the taser and the pistol.
Most definitely.
Just like he said, the taser is always a colorful one. And so she knew the taser different from the pistol. And I think just like Lisa said, they probably congregated in advance on how they was going to be able to cover up the story or what they were going to do once they got there. And so they probably said, just like Lisa said, that they probably said taser, so they can get out of the way. Because every officer have to feel the taser in order for them to know what it feel like.
Let alone, let's say this, that gun weighs almost 17 ounces. That taser is only 4. How can you not feel the difference in that?
Do you think? Do y'all think that? See, do you think that?
And I think in some cases,
her fingers trigger and made a mistake and shot him.
You don't make a mistake when you pull out a gun. You pull out a gun to use it.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yes.
Lisa.
no, we had actually did some research. And we had seen that when the body cameras first came out, there was demonstrations showing how officers were trained to defeat the body cameras. They were to do things to defeat the body camera. I think in some cases, some officers are also trained that they do certain things like a mistake to cover their ass. Because I think in this situation, what she did was, by making that statement, knowing that the body camera was on, she established again that immunity. She established the fact that she had made a mistake publicly without investigation going on. It's already documented. So it's clear that this was a mistake, but it could have been very much intentional. She could have done it intentionally.
And
That flim flam, that's tricky.
And the other officers saw this. So
But we gotta say,
and again,
we gotta say that
it was a traffic stop. Why is there legal force implemented for a traffic stop? Even if he tried to get away, it still didn't justify being shot. Or even
for an air freshener. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
It's some
on now.
states you can have air freshener on windows.
It
Some
doesn't
states,
justify homicide.
you can't have air freshener on mirrors.
Right.
It doesn't
You can't have that in the state of Maryland.
Regardless of the air freshener or not, they ran
Right.
they
And it
ran
was
the
a
tag.
warrant.
They ran the tag. They found the warrant. When they pulled out the gun, and she was saying taser, taser, taser. First off, you can say what you want. That body cam is going to show. Your eyes don't lie. Your eyes don't lie. So she can justify that it was a mistake, but it was not a mistake. It was honestly done. She did that purposely. That gun was pulled out, and she's screaming taser, taser, taser with a gun in her hand.
How many times she shot him?
One.
Twice.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. She did it purposely. She made a statement to give herself that qualified immunity. See,
And
there's a
that's why I was
difference.
saying we need
You
to.
know, it's
This why I
officers
can
have to
agree with David.
articulate the threat. Right. The officer has to articulate a threat when he uses deadly force. And it would be the same thing. He makes a mistake. The officer has to articulate the mistake that was made to try to get her some sort of immunity or action. I think what she did in her statement was very much deliberate. But she knew what she was doing. She was a 26-year veteran. She had years
26
on.
years.
She knew the difference.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you
D,
can't serve
what
26.
can be done? And the man in the blue, you know, you represent blue and the people. What can be done differently? What's not doing now? What can be done about senseless killing, senseless shooting? What's the formula for the officer being trained? And let's start with D, and then anyone else can
Like
just take over.
we all agree that it starts in the home. We can all agree that it starts in the home. These kids nowadays, they have no regard for authority.
No, we're not talking about the kids.
I'm
We're
not
talking
sure
about
who's
the
going.
police
Let me
training.
finish. I'm leading up to that.
We got 6
Right?
minutes for the
Okay,
show to
so
be
I'll
ended.
fast forward. I think that there should be more training when it comes to dealing with African Americans. Definitely when it comes to mere traffic stops. I think there should be, you know, some sort of psychological training, because a lot of these officers that are on the force, these white officers, they were bullied in school. They didn't have any friends, so they figured, you know what, the best way to get friends, I'm gonna go ahead and join the police department. And so now they got the heart of a lion, and now they out here, you know, with their chest poked out and going up to a black person, you know, what's up, bro? But you don't have that privilege to call me, bro. You know, why are you stopping me? And on the other hand, I think when it comes to dealing with police officers, we need to do a better way of, you know, if they ask for our license, just give them your license. You know, all the other stuff, just, you know, the main thing is making it home.
Okay.
On both sides, you know.
All right.
It's just the main thing is
So
making it home.
In this instance, to me, and like I said, in this instance, to me, like I said, this goes back to what Davis was saying in the beginning about the child. This was a black crime. This was a purposely done black crime right here. 26 years on the force, and I don't know the difference between my 26 years on the force, and I don't know the difference between my taser and my gun. This was deliberate. This was deliberate.
Right back here.
Definitely.
In about 15.
You can't
In about 20 minutes.
You can't drink the Kool-Aid. It is what it is. It was deliberately done.
Yes.
Lisa, I totally agree with you.
Thank you. All right, Davis, I know you in and out. You on the highway. We got less than 4 minutes. David, what can be done? What can be done differently? You know, being trained with the officers. Any solution? Okay.
Stop looking at blacks. Stop looking at blacks as mass murderers out here. Stop looking at blacks that way.
It's society, man. It's society. We can go anywhere. If you're from Baltimore, you can go
Davis,
anywhere
any
in the
training
United
for the
States, and the
cop?
first thing they'll ask you is the why.
No, Davis? All right, Lisa.
Yes. Okay. So as far as a resolution on both ends, I say the resolution on the civilians' end is you don't have to explain, you don't have to justify, you have your day in court.
Yes.
Live another day. Go home. Don't go back and forth with the police because you're always going to lose. Get in front of a judge and plead your case. You don't have to explain to them. You don't have to try to talk them out of whatever they're doing. Don't give them any reason to justify bodily harm against you. Don't give them any reason to say that you're resisting. Okay, you said I ran a stop sign. I know I didn't. In my mind, I don't have to vocalize that to you. I don't have to give my testimony to you.
Right.
This is what you say. Okay, I'll sign it and I'll see you in court. Live to have your day in court.
Live to have your day in court.
And then on the law enforcement side, what I've noticed lately in looking at some of these police shootings and bodily harm from police officers, it used to be a time when the police would chase you, right?
Right.
And then they would beat you up after they caught you because you made them run.
Yeah.
Now they got these old police. They ain't in shape. They not chasing you. They gonna shoot you to stop you.
Wow.
And
Well,
if
you're
you
not
take a
supposed
look,
to shoot nobody if they running from you.
we know
They
that's
do
not
it
right.
anyway.
We know that's
They
not
do it
right, but
anyway.
that is what is happening. That is what is happening. These officers are not in shape. They not doing their job. They not pursuing you. They not questioning you. They going after you with aggression, with authority. I just watched something yesterday where they had followed a guy and pulled him over. Well, he was backing into his driveway. And
Okay.
they say he didn't have a front tag on. The officer gets out and he's very aggressive. He doesn't explain why he's asking him to wait a minute. And he just goes right to the gusto. And then that ignites us to be on the defense as Black folks because we already feeling some kind of way towards the police. But then when you coming at me and I have no idea what you're doing, then you coming at me aggressively because you have this authority. Go home. Have your day in court. Don't resist. If this is what they say you doing, okay, fine. I want to see my day in court. You don't have to explain anything.
Thank you. Okay, Jason, you're the last.
Another thing. Jay Wendell said this Wednesday on
Jay Wendell Gordon.
Yes. Attorney Jay Wendell Gordon said, anytime you get pulled over by the police, I want my attorney. They have to stop all questioning. I want my attorney.
You know, I tried to call Jay Wendell Gordon for the show.
I want my attorney. All questions have to stop, or you are being violated by your civil rights.
Wow. Thank you so much, Lisa. And Jason, you gonna wrap it up? I'm over time.
I think what needs to be done is, as colored people, we need to stop being marginalized in this. I know I'm going to offend some of our Asian brothers out there, but when they were under attack, an executive order was signed by President Biden, making a hate crime. The same emphasis that's on any other community, whether it's the Jewish community, you know, whether it's the Greek community, whatever community, if you're making these executive orders to protect the rights of everyday citizens, then why are we being marginalized? Why isn't anybody stepping up to protect our rights? We need to make sure that the George Floyd, we need to make sure the George Floyd Policing Reform Act moves forward. You need to contact your senator and push your senator to make sure that bill, that policing reform bill, moves forward, because that removes qualified immunity. Qualified immunity right now is protected by the Supreme Court. And the only way to be overturned by the Supreme Court is if a Congress by the law to override Supreme Court. So that's what's on deck right now. That's what's in jeopardy right now. Qualified immunity. Get qualified immunity and make sure that there's hate crimes added to the books in reference to our community.
Well, thank you.
And also take that law off the book that classify Black people as property, because that's still law.
Well, it'll be part two. We're gonna have to part two to this. I thank all my guests. I thank y'all, Jason, Lisa Lees, Dee, and Nate, and also Mr. Davis, all the way from another state, that way, South Carolina. But thank everybody once again. We also like to thank and give a shout out to BlackUSA.News. That's right. Donnie, you the man. So thank y'all so much. It'll be part two. I will keep y'all informed. How can the world come together? Can we all get along?
Yes, sir. Follow me on YouTube, 3MP2. Follow me on YouTube, 3MP2.
I'm your brother.
Thank you.
The first, I'm your friend second. I love you, man.
Appreciate you.
Much love, Larry. Thanks, man.